Today we'll discuss why camera brands and sensor sizes don't really matter when you're trying to make good videos. Hi, my name's Matt and recently I've started a new business. And I thought I'd document that whole process so you can learn from my successes and avoid my mistakes. If that sounds like your cup of tea, do me a favor and subscribe. To make this test as scientific as possible, I've decided to use a 1-inch sensor, an APS-C sensor and a full-frame sensor. 1 Canon, 2 Sonys. And I've looked up an equivalence chart, so the Canon will shoot at f4 and ISO of 320. The 1-inch will shoot at f2.5 and 125 of an ISO because it doesn't go any lower, and the full frame will shoot at f6.3 and 720 ISO, all on a tripod. The only difference will be that the lens of the A7 III will be closer to me, so I will be a little bit punched in, which will affect the scientificness of this test. However, since I don't see myself and I don't want to hook up the smartphone, which is more or less a pain with the Sony app, I've decided to ignore this little error. The thing that we all have to remember is that nowadays, in the mid of 2021, any camera is good enough. We all get these fancy A7S IIIs and Canon R5s, which are amazing cameras, but in reality we hardly ever need what they have to offer. Who needs 4K 120 on a regular basis? I never shoot in 120, not even in HD. And for the controlled environment where you have artificial light source and you're trying to block out natural light, so clouds and changing weather conditions don't affect your image, any camera will suffice, especially if you're shooting at 25 or 30 frames per second. So there isn't really a point in getting a better, higher quality and newer camera to do the work that you use your camera for. For me, the only reason to get a full frame camera or an APS-C camera with professional features is the amount of dials and buttons I get. I really love that I have a dial for ISO, aperture and shutter speed on my A7 III. I don't have that on my point and shoot or my APS-C camera. And that's something you have to consider when choosing a new camera. Don't look at the specs. Specs don't matter. Single camera from $600 and up will be sufficient for 99% of things that you do. You always have to remember your camera is just a tool you need for the job, and there are tools for different jobs. If you're shooting a lot of slow motion, then of course you need a camera with slow motion. But if you shoot a lot of standard interview style, corporate style videos, you don't need that high slow motion, and even full HD 120 will be sufficient. And then of course you have to think about size. As high quality and full frame camera looks and feels and works, it's a lot heavier than a point and shoot. And when you consider that a point and shoot has the image quality that's close enough to be good enough for professional use, there's really no need to get a full frame camera instead, besides the fact that you have interchangeable lenses. That's one reason why I use full frame and APS-C cameras, even though I shot a lot of professional work on my ZV-1, which is the smallest point and shoot you can think about, but has amazing video capability. And you always have to consider, under normal circumstances, you don't switch cameras back and forth all the time. You have one image. So you don't even see if, ooh, this has a better blurry background, this has nicer skin tones, and this has whatever. Therefore, switching cameras in between shoots will give you different quality of your video, but you don't do that on a regular basis when having a shoot. So I shot a lot of work with ZV-1, and I've shot a lot of work with my APS-C Canon M50, and I've shot a lot of work with the Sony A7 III. And as I mentioned, there are tools specifically designed for each different tasks. I like the full frame look, but I like the lightweight of the APS-C and the even lighter weight of the ZV-1. So I will probably continue shooting on all three different cameras. But if you're looking to buy a new camera, or you're looking to get into videography or photography, a point and shoot is good enough. An APS-C size sensor is better if you prefer interchangeable lenses. And a full frame camera doesn't offer anything that your APS-C size camera doesn't. Don't make the mistake of getting pulled into this hype where you need to buy the newest full frame camera every single year. The amount of quality you get for the higher amount of money you have to pay just isn't good enough, to make that kind of purchasing decisions. Even though I prefer full frame, and clients look at full frame like a more professional setup, even though the APS-C size or 1-inch sensor sizes are just as good. There's always someone who thinks that a bigger camera is the more professional camera. So to wrap things up, what kind of camera you prefer should guide your buying decisions, not the latest full frame hype. Full frame bodies are more expensive, the lenses are more expensive, and the image quality isn't that much better than what an APS-C or 1-inch sensor or micro four thirds sensor can give you.